grab the Vince. I might have grabbed him mid-conversation even. He might not even know he's here.
I do. Hello.
Hey,
And yes, I did, but that's okay. We were having some discussions with other folks. It's just it's green room discussion.
right here. I mean, I could pull the whole green room down and you guys could talk while I do the giveaway.
Sure, whatever you want, man. I mean, basically, we were just chatting. I mean, we've got the whole Soulbound group up there, except for Tom, so we've got everybody important.
Oh, yeah, here we go. This is a Soulbound stream now. Welcome everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna handle this giveaway. You guys can talk amongst yourselves real quick. I have the
Sure.
logistics to do.
Hey, rest of the Soulbound group, how you doing?
Good. It's nice to be together again, even though we're not playing Soulbound.
I know, right? I'm well, every week it's been something. So this is what happens with most RPGs. But that's fine. We'll get into it at some point.
I am happy to say though, like the excitement hasn't dropped despite this delay.
No, absolutely. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
We can just roll dice right now if you want. I'm ready. Drop right into it.
I got my dice right here.
There you go. That's all you need.
Yeah, I got dice nearby.
I love, by the way, Joe, I love your mixed messaging on your outfit. One, I love that you're wearing the same shirt, basically, as Meph, which I don't know if you guys color coordinated in advance around this or not.
No, I'm doing my laundry, so I had to change into the cleanest shirt for that one.
But yes, I do love how you're repping multiple game systems. It's like the great battles of the late 1990s there that you're wearing. If you could get maybe a Vampire the Masquerade item on you somewhere, you'd have all three of 1998's top three covered.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a White Wolf eyebrow ring to complete the set.
There you go.
Man.
That people donating. That's awesome.
Is
Keep
this
it
the
up,
block
folks.
where we talk about 1933 black and white documentaries?
That's what we were talking about before you pulled us down. Yes, we were talking about the nature of truth in documentary filmmaking. So
So our green room, by the way, definitely doesn't waste time. It preps you for the show, clearly, instead
absolutely.
of talking about totally unrelated topics.
It looks like Hobby Bear said. So for the new folks, we have hit all the prearranged milestones. That's exciting. That's very exciting.
Yes, every milestone is met. Meph was looking at his average viewership, and so he's like, maybe 1,100 for the marathon. Hopefully by midnight, we'd have like 1,100 raised. Keeping it responsible for the targets.
It was 6 at midnight. It was 600, and then
600 at midnight.
11.
Yeah, pushing for 11 for the whole thing. Because you get the, you have that final 2 hours, and maybe you have a little drive or something going on. But we hit that in 8 minutes. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. But they're making up other stuff now, so be warned.
That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I think I heard some rumors. Chat is trying to bully people with donation ideas, so resist if you wish.
Not trying, succeeding.
Oh, geez. All right, already losing ground.
I have no problem with it. I want to see. I love the idea of. Somebody said, so Brendan said that. At 3K, Meph and I do a chat gang built tournament list. Anarchy will reign. That sounds amazing. I just want to point that out. I think that should expand. I think that should expand to like forcing more of us to all take specific chat gang lists into a particular tournament we're all going to be at. I think that'd be an amazing idea. Because I'll play anything. I mean, I've got 16 armies, so it's not like it's hard. I can build whatever you want.
Yeah, I only have ogres, but I will play anything. So we're there. We're on that.
I can supply. If we're all going to the same tournament, I could just bring my stuff and you could use it. Like I would.
Oh yeah. And then I can be like, yeah, I painted this. I got a little better since just putting Valhalla Blizzard on everything. Like I've improved a little bit.
There you go.
You know what I did though is I watched Hobby Cheating from the YouTube channel Vince Venturella and Warhammer Weekly, and I watched 2.5 Hobby Cheatings. And this is how good I am now.
There you go. That's all it took. And the fact that that's 2.5 out of 250, you're just locked in. So you're ready to go.
Literally, I went from half paint score to full paint score just from learning the Zenithal from those episodes.
It makes a big difference. It makes.
Oh yeah, that's a big initial step you can take. That's fairly easy to do. Truly a hobby cheat.
Also, Chuck, are you too special to be on camera right now? Is that what it is?
No, I thought I was.
It's just showing off the guns, dude.
Let's say exactly.
This is a no gun.
Am I on now?
Now you're good. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even realize. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
sitting
I
here
figured
just-
as much. When you switch rooms, it automatically turns off your camera just in case you're doing something untoward in the other room.
No, I'm currently building my my dream table right now with all Daughters of Cain. I'm currently building a full Marathi kit to paint up as a statue.
Cool.
Unbelievable!
Nice. Look at all this. This is fantastic. Yeah.
All right,
so
I've got the I consulted with the robots over at MHA for the random giveaway for the Atlas prize block, and the winner is Travis Huber. So I actually.
Cuba.
So Travis, I'll announce all the winners at the end because I know people are going to be ducking in and out. Throughout the marathon. I'll be sure to I have everyone's contact so I can email the winner of the things. But Travis is actually sitting right there, so I am ducking out, but I will be back. And then of course everyone who's donated 25 or more, or you're all in for the grand prize giveaway. So
Relian, I get it. Oh, didn't win. I'm out.
No, that's awesome. I was so I did a lead-in hobby cheating Q&A today, and I hopefully those people will all come over here. So I linked up the charity stream and talked about it. So hopefully some of Chat Gang today is represented from people who are watching that video. So that would be great.
Yeah.
If you're here, thank you very much for coming over. You're an awesome person. And yes, donate for mental health and you can win incredible stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you've said the tiers somewhere, so I don't know what the donation tiers are to win stuff.
Yeah, there's a Tiltify link that the self-named coalition has been sharing there in chat. Frank just shared it there.
There you go. Thank you, Frank.
So right now the prize block right here is a Larissa Shadowstalker. You showed excitement when I mentioned receiving one, so I felt putting it with your block was
She's
appropriate.
great. Yeah, I used her twice. I painted the real version of her, and then I did. She's also my Knight Azeros, my converted Knight Azeros for my Whirlwind's Edge army.
Yeah. And I'm here from Vince's FAQ. Really?
Look at the prize list and min-max my charity.
Yes.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, $65 to min-max, by the way.
There you go.
You gotta optimize the system. That's just fun.
Set an alarm. So Chuck, I pulled you in, but this isn't an invasion, is it?
I was going to get my my invasion out of the way, so whenever you guys get on your roll, I don't just appear and ruin this roll. Because I think whenever you get this group in here, it's going to be a great thing to listen to. So here's what you're doing right now. We're going to start off easy.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna you're gonna do some toe touches, as best you can. Don't worry about it.
All right.
You got stretch.
Can you demonstrate a toe touch? What's a toe touch?
Stand up, keep your legs straight, reach down, touch toes.
Okay. All right.
You gotta stand up.
All right. So
and
this
then, do you know what
is.
tree?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you know what tree pose is for yoga?
I assume it's
one leg up.
Am I saluting the sun?
Or
oh, okay.
you can put the hands together and then one leg up on the other leg. You gotta do 30 seconds each leg and then do 5 toe touches. You gotta warm up into this fitness, all right? You don't want to pull anything. You got 26 hours to go, 25 hours to go.
You're a
long day.
You've thought a lot about this. Okay, so this is of course milestone 2. Chuck Moore Fitness Invasion. He will be invading everybody else's block throughout the charity marathon. So I got to do toe touches.
Touches and some tree poses. And I am setting an alarm for 3 a.m. and he's doing 20 burpees at 3 a.m.
Sure.
You probably shouldn't choose 3 a.m. because my block is 2 through 4, so he won't be there.
Okay. Let's.
I mean, if you want to get me to exercise, then you should show up at 3. So,
Do you want to exercise? Does Chat Gang want you to exercise?
Have you seen what I look like?
You're a lovable
does
human
the
being.
ogre player want to exercise? Good one, dude. Good one.
Hey, I think it was brought up on Twitter. Technically, bulking is part of fitness. So
It's
if
true.
you want to
You got to
eat
build the
half a
marble
pizza,
before you sculpt it. Yes, as
Yeah,
Always
you're
Sunny
right.
in Philadelphia famously taught us.
We could
oh,
learn
man,
human
he's doing
green
good.
for sculpting the body. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I'll definitely set for a little after 4, maybe at 4:30. We'll wake him up early.
There you go. This is
Develop the forms and then refine. How long does he have to stay like this?
30 seconds each leg. To best
a long
guess. I
time.
mean, it's hard, but it's a good pose.
He's real
We can't-
good. We can't hear him, but it's
yeah.
fine.
We
This
can't
is
hear
way
him.
more
Yeah.
entertaining.
We
to
can't
watch
hear him
him
at all, but
silently
it's
attempt
better
these
that he
things.
can't.
It's great. Yeah.
I just assume he's talking about how much he loves it, how he can't wait for the next one.
I mean, he wants to talk about AOS balance so much, right? And this is it.
Exactly. You can't talk about balance if you don't have balance.
Yeah, you got to live the balanced life.
That's right. Exactly. If you want it, it must become all-consuming.
Yeah, I
Be
mean,
the inverse pyramid, Meth. Be the inverse black pyramid right now. That's what you are.
yeah.
Arms
That's
out.
right.
Put your arms out.
Yeah. Go like this. Go
Yep,
like this,
do this.
Map. Straight up.
Oh no.
Yeah,
all right.
keep the clan Eshin Skaven out of your mind that ruined
Absolutely.
Nagash's original plan.
Don't even worry about them. They're not a problem.
You know, balanced body, balanced game is what I always say.
Yeah. I mean, how can you expect to have the mental clarity to balance the game if you don't have the physical clarity of balance? It just doesn't make any sense. One clearly connects to the other. You got to get all that chi
Right.
flowing.
Oh, all right. I feel fit. I feel focused. I feel ready to
Good. Well,
balance Age of Sigmar with the full balance lifestyle I'm now.
Well, I will, Meth. I will see you in the next takeover.
Whenever.
And yeah, whenever it happens.
Yeah. It's
But I'm gonna sit back, donate, and listen. So you guys enjoy your chat.
And there you go.
All
I
right.
just want to say a couple of people donated while you were doing all that, and you're all rock stars. It's amazing watching these donations. This is truly fantastic. So thank you, everybody. Keep it up.
Yeah. So in the last, let's see. Jesus, where's my cutoff here? Warmund, and then so Tiffers came in with $25 donation. Thank you so much for that. Brandon Terra, glad to be supporting a great cause. Nobre Cooper, $25 says great cause. Dr. Alex Milones says Rantcast. Crazy Horse for the follow. Thank you so much for that. Travis Huber, who is also min-maxing the donations. It looks like. Gotta love the best damn.
Very good.
Gotta love the best damn Soulbound show TM. Got the TM in there. This is important. The trademark. Yep. Shanty Miniatures. Thank you so much for the follow. Soren, the Mad Lad. I love your work, Vince, and I cannot wait to see what your next project will bring. Piotr showing up with keep up the good work. The Registered Nerd. I like that. That's like a play on the Registered Nurse. I hope that you're a nurse.
She is.
Right on. That's fantastic. Amazing.
Ooh, I love a
$25.
good-
So of course you're entered to win the Larissa, but the $25 will don't have to worry about it. You're entered for the OBR grand prize giveaway. What a great cause! Thanks for doing this. Wow, pushing them off the screen. Possum, who's Possum with a donation. Christian Ware, thank you so much. Crazy Horse, thank you so much. I believe Crazy Horse is Anthony, right? Anthony Paul Castro.
Yep, that's Anthony.
Yep. Andrew Yells, $8. Is this how exponents work? Haven't taught powers of numbers in a while. Yes. What's up, bud?
You guys are gonna have to enjoy the $65 optimized amount while you can, because we've determined that it's overpowered. So
There will be an FAQ coming.
Yeah.
in 8 months, expect a change to the $65 being overpowered, and then 2 weeks later we'll do an FAQ, but we won't change that.
Right.
It'll be $64, and we'll just see how it works out.
Right. Brendan Melnick, thank you so much. Lord of Death. Jarl Flamen, thank you. Davis, it's Michael Davis, thank you so much for the donation. Helgi back in the house. Keep rocking it. Great work for mental health. And Razor Tree, Jared. I could listen to Vince and Heywoah talk all 27 hours. I could too. You guys want to talk for 27 hours while I go get a burrito or something?
Yeah, sure. Why not, man?
Okay,
That
all right,
sounds good.
cool. And Elf Joe would be, of course, Grim. Is cheers, more biddies. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, Vince. I have literally nothing planned. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, geez. I didn't know I was supposed to bring a topic. You can talk about whatever you want. I got lots of ideas, sure.
I think, well, you know what, chat gang, you have three great minds. We've got a proxy Tom in here in the form of Heywoah because Tom was supposed to be here.
So I'm playing the role of Tom here.
Do you want it? Vince? This is your block. This is your show.
Look, Joe is his own person. There's no way I would ask Joe to step down and lower himself to become Tom. That's ridiculous. That's never make yourself lesser. Okay, that's unnecessary.
Well, I always appreciate shots being fired, especially when they don't hit me. But I've taken some acting classes in my day, and plus, as a slight defense of Tom here, the two personality pushback. I mean, he fills a role on purpose, so I can Twitch act just as he can.
Yeah, I've known. I mean, Tom has been my friend for a very long time. He initially snuck in to know me through somebody who through a different friend. You know, you ever have people like that where they sneak in. You never tried to meet this person, just you had a friend, and then they were like, "Why don't you meet this other person I know?" That's how Tom snuck into our group. He got sort of smuggled in, and then he just never left. So he's hung around. It's like a bad penny.
I've never met like someone who's busted their friend's chops as much as you two do. Like...
Tom once described my friendship as a crucible that burns away. It's like a fire that burns away weakness. Because if you have anything wrong, I will lambast you on it until it is gone, until you deal with the issue. That's what it is to be a close friend of mine.
That is accurate.
That's fantastic. Oh man. Oops, wrong one. Where'd you go? Here we go.
So let's do the news.
Yeah. We'll do the news, right? Elf Joe, we got the biddies. Bears 1253. Keep it going, he says. Splinter MD has followed. Thank you so much for that. And heavy D6. I'm sorry, heavy D6. This is the first of many. Thank you so much. This is for the Larissa. Obviously, you do the $25 thing. The Jack Gang will fill you in. They know what the fuck's up. Embarrassing stories. This was the original milestone that I'm like, yeah, I think we can hit $100 in the first show or in the first block, and then we hit a lot more than that. Vince, you've had a week to prepare. Do you have an embarrassing AOS story? You want to get this one out the way right off the top?
Sure, absolutely. Like an embarrassing AOS story, right? Now, I just have some clarifications. I've got multiple stories, but are you looking for something of deep personal meaning here? Is that what you're aiming at, or more funny?
I think some. It's really up to you. I think we're going to be funny enough, just in general. So I have some hubris, maybe some deep personal growth, maybe be vulnerable for me, Vince.
Yeah, it's the mental health stream. It's not, it's okay to be real. A lot of us use comedy as a diffusionary tactic, right? So,
sure.
Nervous laughter and self-deprecation, right? Like
those
are my go-tos.
Yeah, I don't. I'll be honest with you. I've had a week to think about this, and I don't know that I've come up with anything that's that super embarrassing for me with that. And that's not just because, I'm not trying to stand aside. I just mean that, my experience with AOS is not, one, I'm not a person who's embarrassed very easily.
Same actually. Like, it's hard for me to... It's not that I don't feel shame, it's that, actually feeling embarrassed for the shame I feel is, it's just a different gear, and I don't often feel that. Continue.
Yeah, I don't tend to go to that place very often. And two, the AOS community itself is such that it's not the kind of thing where people are all so close and such good friends and so nice in this community. I think embarrassment also comes from the scenario you're in, right? Because you have to be... I've been embarrassed at work or something, where you screw something up or you say something that whoops, I didn't mean that, or whatever. Nothing inappropriate. It's easy in a professional setting like that. But when you're amongst close friends, I don't know, it's hard to be deeply embarrassed. I mean, the closest thing that might have come to that was, of course, 2 years ago, or year and a half, however it would work out now, at Adepticon when Anthony and Jacob and people dressed up as me.
I will accept this entry.
Right?
So you have a bunch of people dressing up like you, Jacob Berry, Anthony Polcaster. I know we're like two of them, and they were fantastic. But was that flattering?
Dead
was
on.
that yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. It was amazing. I couldn't have like what an incredible compliment to pay somebody. Like that's unreal. I couldn't have been more happy about it, you know.
They had the green aprons.
Yeah, they went all out.
Get a plaid shirt, a green apron that says "I'm Vince" on it. You know,
Well, like would you start making
Jake
more?
did wear it the best. That's true, Randy.
Jake wore it best, says Andrew yells.
It was scary for my wife, who had the nightmare of there being 3 of me. Like that is a horrible reality for her to live in. I don't know what kind of strange Black Mirror episode that is, but it's pretty terrible. I can say that for sure.
Oh, you don't have to honk my Patreon right now, guys. Don't do that. No. This is about the charity. I renounce Patreon for this.
But no, I mean that was fun. Like as a testament to like non-embarrassment. When I was in Australia, I recorded a podcast with the.
Is this the mega cast, the Dwellers Below? Yeah.
And you know, there was like a bunch of inappropriate stuff said on that, and like doesn't. I mean, that's the simplest way to sum that up.
Yeah.
And none of that embarrassed me. It's just funny. Like I'm not a person. Have I screwed up in games? Yeah, sure. And then went, oh man, I screwed that up. Let me take that back. Let me fix that. Let me make that right. You know, like you do this. Your thing should be here. Put your fig back. Like, of course, we've all had those mistakes where we totally misread something, or we were just starting with a new army. You know, that's just life. And I think that on the whole, the best thing you can do is not worry about that stuff and not be embarrassed. I think that to make just a broader point on it, I think people worry how others are going to judge them. Right? Embarrassment comes from a place of you did something and you worry that someone who you're playing the game against is going to judge you as lesser in some way. Right? Like the joke I was making about Tom earlier. And I've just never actually experienced that because everybody in this community is fantastic. And we all know we all make mistakes and we all know we all mess up. And so it's always completely friendly. And so my best advice is whether you're new in a game, whether you're new at the store, you're new at a tournament, don't worry about that kind of stuff. Just be honest. Be like, whoops, mess that up. And somebody be like, oh yeah, no problem, man. It's all good. I did the same thing. Like that's every response I've ever gotten. Right. Even at upper tables, because just that's the world.
I remember kind of to your point, like, one of the boogeymen of our scene is certainly like Relian and the guys from Milwaukee. I drew into Relian round 2 at Midwest Meltdown, and I was grudging Thai, so I drinking pretty famously, and like now I have to play one of the top notch like players in the entire meta, and I'm like I'm not going to give him a good game. I'm kind of like
Sure. I mean, being a straight edge myself does help in this regard.
Right. And it was still like one of the most gentlemanly games, like playing by tent. He had his it wasn't an AOS reminder sheet. He just had like a laminated sheet he had there, and just like playing against him and seeing like, oh wait, even our best players are like, you don't need to feel ashamed in front of them. They're gonna embrace you, and so it was pretty cool.
At least in AOS, especially, like people have this fear I've seen online a great deal even, and I don't know if they're talking anecdotally from their local scene where there's one dickhead or something like that, but I'm specifically talking about events that are like Age of Sigmar only, where you go to them and it's Age of Sigmar, right? And so there has to be a charity raffle and there has to be a bar on premises, and
these are requirements.
Even the most competitive people there, like they're not someone to fear playing the game against, because for the most part, in my experience, they really just play like professionals. They just want to give you the most, good, clean fight game ever, and then move on in the standings. Like that's their goal.
Yeah.
And, if you mess up or if they mess up, what they're really interested in just finding out how it should have gone or what the rule really is. And then you move on. It's easy. It's not something they get concerned about. And if you're super concerned about it, you can diffuse that earlier by saying that, hey man, this is my first tournament. Oh, okay. And then the professional player puts you into the box in their head where it's like, okay, this is the person's first tournament. So I'm going to play as if that's true. And I'm the more experienced player, so it's up to me to make sure things run smoothly, and then there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, if I go down my list of top players, I can't think of anybody. All the bad games I ever had usually came from Tom. But other than that, I can't think of any top player. And even Tom is actually a very nice person to play against when he's not running like his horrible lists he likes to play. But all the top players are actually the nicest people to play against. They're just like unbelievably generous. Like the top AOS players in the US, at least, and I'll openly admit I haven't played against any in other countries. I can't think of a bad game or a bad experience. It's just not how it works.
All right. Chat has requested from you, and since you are here, Heywoah, Andrew Yells, of course, our good friend. He wants you to tell everyone the Peanut story, the Circus Peanut story. As your,
I'm immediately interested in these. You have some story relating to these horrible nuclear toxic orange packing material? I'm excited.
Yeah, don't worry. This is not peanut allergy story. These are circus peanuts, which I'm sure everyone has seen at their local worst truck stop.
Real quick. The spicy nut challenge milestone. It's like the death nut with the 13 million Scoville heat units peanut was met. So Paul Conti and we're going to do a little hot ones thing. He's going to interview me while I eat through the 5 progressively hotter peanuts, and they start out with Carolina Reaper peanut and they go to the science peanut where they've added extra. What is it?
Oh, is that Pepper X or whatever?
Well, no, the actual like what is it? The kerosizin or whatever, the thing that actually makes the thing spicy.
Yeah,
They just put the crystal directly onto the peanut after coating it in the other stuff. So it's like we have scienced this to make it uncomfortable.
Question. How much more talking are you going to have to do after eating the thing?
I'm not doing it live.
Okay,
we're gonna do this. I made that stipulation clear. This will not be done live on account of, it could tank a whole 27-hour stream. So
yeah, I was going to say, because if you're only like 6 or 7 hours in and you eat something that causes real, true physical damage to your mouth, esophagus, and you're just like weeping and stuff, it might not be conducive to like the rest of the stream. So
right, no. That's hair dyeing, tattooing, obviously, and the spicy peanut are all off stream. So there's a couple others. But yeah, so I just wanted to mention that.
I'm excited for meth with like blue or pink hair.
Purple.
I think it suits you.
Purple.
No, purple's fine.
Purple, best color. But yeah, so circus peanuts. You find them at any gas station.
I think you should go, but I'm sorry to keep interrupting the circus peanut story. Purple's fine. You should go full synth. If you're gonna do purple, electric blue, and hot pink. Like can we have an advanced milestone for a triple blend? Yes. Like when you dye hair, you can foil it out however you want. So like I think getting your hair into full synthwave mode, if you're looking for an advanced milestone, if we've already hit the dye milestone, I don't know if we do. We have, but like an advanced one, pick a number. But I'd love to see you with that kind of streak in your hair. Just you'd be 80 synthwave meth, and I'm all about it. I'm sorry.
No,
please go ahead.
80.
No, yeah, synthwave is quality. And can we do a chrome for the beard before we shave it off?
No, I gotta shave the beard. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
metal paint it, right? Yeah, witness me. You metal paint it and then shave it. Yeah, exactly.
Non-metallic metals like goatee.
Yeah, you did the Horizon line. You got the chrome thing going with browns and blues.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much for that follow there.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so circus peanuts. Everyone is probably aware of what these are. You found them at you've almost certainly only ever walked past them at your worst local truck stop, or maybe you've seen them in a bowl at your 88-year-old grandfather's house right next to the Werther's Originals. And you actually go for the Werther's Originals instead, which is like saying something, right?
A candy that no one has willingly consumed or purchased since 1922, and yet somehow...
Yeah, it's pushing the boundaries of what even candy is.
Right.
As something enjoyable. And so too are circus peanuts, as I'll elucidate you guys on.
As well as candy corn. Candy corn is like there's like no new candy corn has ever been made. It's just
the byproduct of making some other candy that they scrape and mold into a thing.
Yeah,
sure.
But so yeah, circus peanuts. I was on my way to an event.
But you like them. you at one point in time you did like them at this point.
Yeah, I did, because I have childhood memories of not choosing the Werther's Originals at 88-year-old grandfather's house. But this is one of those, like, ate them, a lot of time passed, in one's life, and then I'm driving on the way to the event, and I'm getting gas, and I walk past them, and like the Manchurian Candidate, I see them, and, oh, these are good, right? Because in my head, 16 years ago, when I was a wee lad, these were good. I'll take one of those things off the shelf. Oh, 2 for 99 cents? Easy. Give me that value, right? So get my gas, put it in there, and there's not going to be a gas station for a very long time because I'm going out into the middle of nowhere. And
This was
so,
your Magic Grinder days?
yeah, this was Magic Grinder days, like full grinder mode. And so I fill up the extra, 2.5 gallon portable tank I have, fill that up with gas, put it in the trunk, and off I go to the event with a little Red Bull in the center console cup holder. I got my little circus peanuts in a different console over there. Just popping them in the bread box, driving up there. And I start to feel strange.
Mm-hmm.
And I start to feel very strange in a very bad way. And you know how sometimes when you feel like, I just don't feel very good, I need to drink something or consume something. So we double down. And unbeknownst to me, but the 2.5 gallon portable gas can I had in my trunk was not fully sealed. So I'm driving across a state, inhaling gasoline fumes in an enclosed car and eating nothing but circus peanuts and drinking Red Bull. This is a white squall in my body.
If there's any testament to the durability of the human body to somehow continue functioning despite not being, and under optimal conditions, this is truly it.
Like, I'm sweating, but it's only like my eyelids and no other part of my body is just sweat. I didn't even know they had pores in them. I'm turning white, like it's not okay. And eventually I have to pull over on the side of the highway. And I'm vomiting pure orange fire hose right next to the billboard in Wisconsin that says God is real in 20-foot tall black letters on a white background.
I mean, real reasons to doubt that statement are happening in real time, yes.
I'm vomiting so violently that blood vessels are popping. I get a nosebleed, and so now it's red and orange, spewing. Oh yeah, Indiana. Pardon me. This is on the way to an event in Indianapolis.
Of course, it was in the worst state.
And the landscape is tilting, but I'm staying still. You got that vertigo thing going on, and I find myself on my knees, covered in my own blood and orange circus peanut remnants. The world is spinning. I'm looking up at this sign that says God is real. And I have an epiphany. Not a religious epiphany. And not a good epiphany. But the inspiration is circus peanuts are not good.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, can confirm. Mars, I'm dying here. Yeah.
And so I drove away. I was driving to an event where I was staying overnight, so I just got a new shirt on the side of the highway, had some honks, and the end scene is me driving my car away. You see the scene is you see a shirt just left on the side of the highway.
Sure.
A full tank of 2.5 gallons of gas just left on the side of the highway. And then we pan up and see the billboard and fade to black. And Simple Man starts playing in the background.
Frank's like, it looks like a man melted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like the oh geez, I can't remember the name of that old 80s movie where people disappeared and became their clothes, but that's what happened. And someday, perhaps that day, there was a person who ran out of the gas at the side of the road, and in between curses and annoyances, they looked and saw a man who had melted, or perhaps a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man made out of circus peanuts.
Some form of simulacrum, yeah.
Had died, but he left some gas, and that person, their day was saved. Although, there was a smell to get out of their car on the way out.
I'd like to think of wildlife you potentially endangered. I mean, this is you were lucky that
yeah, they don't expire because not even bacteria want to eat them.
Of course, yeah, those are good forever. You could just let those sit on a counter and they'll be good post the apocalypse. Which makes me think, if you're wearing the Palladium shirt, I definitely need to have a sort of Rifts plot point about having some circus peanuts from the pre-Rifts era.
Yeah, pre-Rifts quote unquote candies. Yeah.
Yes, that have still survived. But no, I think what we can all count our blessings about is that you shouldn't share the exact date or time, because otherwise this would be like this is sort of like an oil spill BP in the Gulf kind of situation, right? Like the EPA, if notified, would have needed to cordon off the entire area to section it off because of the dangerous chemicals that have been out here. And it's not the gasoline spill, it's more the orange that is now out here. That level of that amount of that stuff would mean that we would need to call in some form of hazmat team, section it off. It would have looked like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I think. That's ultimately what would have happened.
All right. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. And peace out. Please enjoy the rest of Vince Block.
It's great stuff.
Oh man, his capacity for telling stories is the dryness he delivered, the tone, like how I couldn't keep a straight face remembering the last time he told me the story. And
Sure.
He's just like, and you're even just like a robot there. I'm just like, how? I'm dying.
It was a solid story, no doubt about it.
Oh man. Oh, all right. So we've had some donations come through. Elf Joe with the biddies did the dub bears. Heavy D6, we got you. Tomb King Tristan says, TK rule and OBR drool. Well, I mean that's like your opinion, man. Craig Lewis.
Given that distinction, I'm forced to agree with Tomb King Tristan. So
Given that it's for Mental Health America, and at some point during the stream, I'm supposed to admit live that that Petrifex deserved its nerf. I'll abstain for now. Craig Lewis, great show, great cause, great guest, great host, just great. $20 to Tiltify. Thank you so much, Craig Lewis. Nick True, Dr. True again. We're playing the min-max game. Bryce Schultz, thanks for being on, Vince. You are a true inspiration behind all of the Army projects I do.
Fantastic. Always happy to help.
Professor Egg Xavier says, love all you guys. Thanks for being so welcoming and introducing me to the best community on the planet. Best wishes for the charity. $25 there. Jacob the Warhammer Villain Berry, $7. You're welcome. And then Doran Jr. says, thank you. I'm excited to be a transitioning hobbyist from 40K into the AOS community, and you all have a lot to do with that welcome feeling. You're very much welcome. Welcome to the best community in gaming. Sasha S., $25 says, get it shaved already. Oh my.
We're almost there.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. Who donated 53 cents? Oh, never mind. Never mind. All right, Vince. Yeah, what do we want to talk about, man?
Would you like to talk about balance? You mentioned it earlier.
I did, and I did do a balancing pose. We could talk about balance. We could talk about what my spicy take on internal parity, or parity in general.
Okay, sure.
Ooh, here we go. Parity is something to be chased. It's never to be achieved. Said shortly, succinctly.
Define further.
In sports ball, they tend to have a draft. The notion of the draft is that the worst team gets the highest draft pick, right?
Sure.
Usually there's a draft lottery to avoid tanking your season on purpose, like in the NBA, where you're in the lottery and you just have a better chance to get the hotter pick sooner. Those drafts exist, and they're highly entertaining if you're a sports ball fan, but they exist under the notion of parity.
Okay.
A single draft doesn't often make a team better, especially if the team is flawed on its infrastructure level. Nerfing Petrifex Elite, which was the right decision. Yeah, the correct decision. They nerfed it and they deserved it. Those out of bounds, abusive, just as bad as Zinch and as bad as Slanesh was, bastards that had no counterplay. Okay, I gotta work my way up to it. There's a reason this was an $1,100 goal. Okay, I gotta work myself up to saying it sincerely. Sorry, I'm working on it, chat. Chat gang, it's not you, it's me.
I love Petrifixed, by the way. That's my new.
Petrifixed, yeah, Petrifixed. Yeah, thank you. I'm working my way up to it. If the New England Patriots aren't in the game, then it's suddenly fair again. Like this notion that like removing this thing. Now, we have math on our side. The human condition is largely removed from like players, right? Players are a big wild factor in sports that makes most things theoretical. The exception of something like baseball. Baseball is a highly refined, like, it's about as close to sports science as I think we've got, because it's a very
one, it was always a very numbers-driven thing, and two, since the Moneyball revolution. Yes.
Right. And so like you have this thing, and yet you still have a lack of parity between the leagues, with all these constraints put on the parity that are supposed to move it toward parity and stuff like that. When we move this into gaming, where we can control a lot more of the factors, then it's more desirable to chase parity, because the biggest thing is that people have an illusion of fair play, whether it's fair or not, because like you're better than me, or whatever. Like I want to think that I have that puncher's chance at all times when I'm playing a game, or why would I play the game? This is super important. In video games, whether it's a competitive sense, it tends to look an awful lot like they're constantly tooling with the numbers. If something gets played too much, they knock that down. I don't know why we decided 40 to 60 was the Goldilocks zone.
It was when you're saying why?
Yeah, why did we choose that?
Reasonable range. Like that's when I coined the fat middle. That was the reasonable range you could expect within the balance constraints of AOS.
Because it's a more robust game. I mean, there's a lot more moving parts than like Magic the Gathering. If this deck's winning,
fat middles have a very different very different range depending on what you're playing in. Right? Like online MOBAs are like 2%. It's 49 to 51 is their tolerable range. Magic is probably like 47 to 53. Right, some games are like 55 to 45, and it just gets more expansive the more kind of wild it is, right?
As we're spiraling around this, why did you set 40-60? I mean, you set that there, but then I often hear like, well, we should be closer to Magic as a pushback to your 40.
No way, it's nonsense. There's no universe where we live close to Magic. Magic plays 100,000 games for every game we play. It's not an exaggeration. Like that's real. For every game Warhammer play, there's probably 100,000 games of Magic. In fact, I'm probably underestimating that.
Yeah,
that's some rough back of the napkin math, and I did that before, like the new arena and whatever. Yeah, had come to dominate, right?
Yeah.
And all of that data is collected. They have entire teams dedicated to this, to watching, balance. They have
the Future League.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's not just playtesting. That's an R&D where they took the best players in the world and said, "You're our R&D team now." Like they just said.
Yeah, they also have a lot more formal steps in the design and development process, even beyond what most companies use, where they've separated formal design, development, QA. Like they have a sort of super agile process, hyper agile, that goes into like initial epic creation and scheming and theming and general set parodies and stuff like that. And so like it's a very different environment. I'm not interested in recreating that. I'm really not. That shouldn't be the goal. That's nonsensory. If what I think you're saying is that, sure, it's always a good goal and you should always be pushing toward it, but the idea that you achieve it in some way, is kind of a chasing the dragon thing, then if that's where you're going, then I in general agree with you.
Okay, yeah.
Like
all right.
this
is not a case against parody. That was not where I was going with it.
No, it's not. I mean,
I see people bring for just to. I'll let you finish this, but just real quick, so I don't bury the lead on my own
sure.
point. I see people say they've started to use this like parody notion as a dismissal, like, oh, they just need more parody, and I'm like, I think it's more complicated than that. Like, we're using this term without understanding the gravity of it, and I think that's what's important to define here. So continue now.
Sure. I mean, internal parody is how interesting is it to use anything in your book, and it's. Look, I don't have to appeal to the Chief Justice here, but it is a bit like, well, I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
And we can all look at books that were saddled with. One of the big problems with internal parody is this: there are books out there, armies that are saddled with historical models, armies that have been around for decades and decades and
Seraphon cities at this point. Right?
Sure. I mean, Skaven. Like there's more. Sure. Those are three big examples, right? Because they have massive numbers of war scrolls, like 50 plus war scrolls, right? And the right answer, if you were concerned with parity, if we were really all concerned with parity, with balance, let me put it that way broadly, okay? But internal parity, specifically of having only like the right choices within the book and not loser choices, and external parity, as in how that army performs against the field and the meta. If we were really concerned with that, then we as a community would cry out for them to just retire 70% of that range. Mm-hmm. Okay? Like, to just 86 most of the range. Like, in cities, you don't need 7 different types of elite infantry with big swords. Okay?
The gameplay of it doesn't, right?
Correct. Yeah. I'm saying, like, I'm looking completely through the balance lens right now.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The right answer, if we were going to just like scientifically approach this, the right answer would be, nope, we don't need any of those things. Fire 6 of them off the roof, we keep 1.
Like, just put them in the cannon.
Yeah, they're gone. Right? I don't need these multiple types of heavy cav. I need 1. I don't need 72 different types of hero on a weird monster. I need 1. Right? Mm-hmm. And it would be to turn that army into Ironjaws. Like, Ironjaws has exceptional internal parity, especially now.
Right? As war clans, even between savage orcs, or if you're on the
sure.
Bone splitters.
I'll speak specifically to the Ironjaw slice of it, because I find playing under that allegiance to be one of the best examples of internal parity in the game, especially now. Like, that was a little off with the recent points changes. Like, this was a case where points actually did matter. Moving the brutes down just 10 and the Ardboys up 10 actually changed the entire math of the army. So, like, your Ardboys and your brutes and your piggies and your various heroes all have a pretty good
their role
range and a pretty good balance against each other, different roles, different functions. It's not that every scroll in there is perfect. I would argue like the caster is generally useless now and Gordorak is stupid and needs to shave like 80 points off of this thing. But special characters are special characters and are always a big thorn in the paw of that kind of thing, right? But in general, it's an incredibly strong internal balance book. You know why that is? Because it's got 7 scrolls, right? 60 scrolls to 7 scrolls. That's what's going to happen. So, like, the right answer, if that was our concern, if we as a community really cared about balance, we would go say, please retire all these extra scrolls. Mm-hmm. Get rid of them. Mm-hmm. Okay? Just retire all of Clan Eshin. It's dead. It doesn't serve any function. It doesn't need to be there. It's gone now.
No.
Okay? Get rid of all of Clan Molder. It's useless, dumb crap that doesn't have any purpose. Like, giant rats are just clan rats by another name, if I'm talking about a role-filling chaff. Rat ogres are stupid and have no purpose. On a 5-up save, they don't do anything. They don't do the damage. They're not a hard enough hammer. Fire them off the roof. The Hell Pit maybe can stay around, maybe not. It's a big, worthless monster, but sure, big, worthless monsters are big, worthless monsters. Right? And you would just slice and dice the army down to nothing. Okay? That's what you would do if you're really concerned with balance. Now, let me ask, then the follow-up question to that is, who would want that? Right? Mm-hmm. None of us.
Right.
We don't actually want that because we don't actually care about balance as the primary objective. Like, nobody wants a ton of their army to be retired. I have 10,000-ish points of Skaven painted.
Trunzo Molder is the best.
That's exactly my point. What Trunzo just said is what's going to be the reaction to a statement like that. Like, we can say that's the right answer. We know it is because the armies that have less scrolls are easy to create, defined roles, internal parity. You need one elite blob, or you need one mass blob, you need one elite attacking force, you need this hammer, you need one mobility, you need a hero that enables, you need a second hero that enables magically, you need a third hero that's a bully.
Yeah.
Like, that's an army. Okay? Like 7 to 10 scrolls is an army. You go over that, you're going to get this happening. And, it's not that you couldn't still solve the problem. There are ways you can sort of, mesh with this, right? You can establish different power pairings and stuff, like take cities or something like that, for example, right? You can establish different power pairings.
Hammers are an excellent example. Like out of the box, great sorters are great as advertised. Hammerers where a lot of the extra steroids that sorters don't have access to. I don't know if that's worthy to be that way, but it does make for some meaningful choice.
Sure. You could have like 5 different versions of the thing where every power pair conducts a quite different role, where like only the dwarves can be anvils and only the elves can be ultra glass cannon hammers, and like the humans play stock middle ground, right? Like you could see creating that kind of a structure. They didn't, right? But you could do that and expand it out slightly. That's how, if you're going to go up to like 20 or 30 scrolls, how you'd need to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Where like...
I think we're seeing some of this in Seraphon. We're seeing a little bit of it where like that's the half of the book.
Seraphon still has a bunch. Like, it's good. It's a better shot across the bow at this sort of thing. But they're still like wildly off in the initial take. Like, obviously Croak and the Sallies, my favorite 50s doo-wop band, as I'll say all the time, has just imbalanced the whole book internally, right? Because they were and probably still are of the very strongest choice. But like there are plenty of choices in that book that you look at and go, yeah, probably not going to play that stuff, right?
Right.
Because there's just, yes, they've done better. Like skinks have a role. Saurus are probably fun because they split them into kind of 2-ish armies because they have very focused sub factions, which I like. Which is the way things like Petrifex Elite and FEC went wrong with their overpowered individualized sub factions that they have learned from and corrected, where they've started to make the sub factions focus more on a unit type filling a specific role.
Better than trying to be like, this is the one for fighting magic, or this is the one for being
right.
tanky. Way better design there. We're in agreement there. I just want to real quick, we've got a bunch of donations piling in here.
Please.
So
keep it up, folks. More donations.
Donations. We left off on Sasha S telling me to get it shaved. Shawing, thanks for the Wayne's World reference, $25. Thank you so much for that. Anon showing back up again with $5. Chuck T. Moore, $5.47. I see what you did there. Jacob Berry's just going to show up and ruin it again. Kane Rules, Nagash Drools. Thank you for pronouncing it correctly, though. Ben Weiss with $10. 13 rolls. We got a $5 donation. Says, if you're thinking about suicide or worried about a friend or loved one, or like emotional support, call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, available 24/7 across the United States, and then the 1-800-273-8255, or search for your country's number on Google. Every country has one of these. MHA has this number on their site, and it's technically a different organization. That's how good of a job I think they do. So it's poignant. I think most people, we may not talk about it. Most people probably know somebody that's been in that mind space at some point in their life, or you might have been that person. And we don't always have, the infrastructure available immediately to us to help get out of that space. It's a really good resource. And then Boss Haas carrying us across the I am shaving my goatee. With
I'm
60,
so excited about this. It's fantastic.
$60 says this will get us over the line for the shave. Booyah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Do you guys want me to do this one live? Like, am I gonna at some point go get a drink of water, go shave it with my phone and Twitter, and then come back? Is that what?
You have clippers? You just bring them in here, mute yourself, and buzz it off.
I could do that, but then I could do that. Molly, get the clippers. All right. So we shot across the bow on Seraphon, kind of being a better direction.
The new design of this stuff. But like ultimately, and so I'm obviously doing a big balance survey right now, which I'll spruik real quick. If you haven't yet filled out the balance survey, you can find it linked in my most recent Q&A from today. You can find it linked in Warhammer Weekly from this week. Please go fill out the balance survey if you haven't already. I'm very interested in your feelings. This will be one of many surveys over the course of the year. I'm trying not to do these too often. If I could, I would like trap 2,000 AOS players in a room and feed them like the 700 questions I have prepared. But you know, that would probably be a bit much. So, but like I'm interested in this as a subject, as some way that we need to re-examine the game. And I think fundamentally we've been thinking about this the wrong way. I'll say that.
It's
And
a
that's
little
part of
too
where I'm
linear,
going.
I think, is the problem. Like, that's kind of where I was going with this. I think this is you kind of got to pick your poisons is the wrong way to. Well, I'll let you finish up. I think you're saying what I'm about.
No,
to
you're
say.
right. I know where you're going, and yes, I agree. The ultimate thing is that we all like balance, but most of us aren't willing to sacrifice the other things we love about this game. And you asked, to go back to your original question, why did I say 40 to 60 was the range?
Yeah.
Ultimately, because it's what we want. We as the community want. Okay? I know that because we've still kept playing this game and voted with our dollars. Like, that is the ultimate proof of it. On that kind of a fat middle, and on armies that sometimes even break that, we still keep playing and love this game. And I don't think in the end any of us actually want the world of what we would have to sacrifice to get to 52 to 48, like a tight middle, right? That's why I said the fat middle, because that's what we would actually enjoy, right? Because we want armies to feel crazy. We want armies to feel individualistic. We want armies to play very different. We want scrolls to be weird. We want there to be lots of our legacy figs still usable in the game. And we weep every time that we lose one. I mean, we're going to eventually. That's just the nature of this thing, right? You can go say hi to my dog's a war army out there on the shelf. Okay, like, things will eventually retire, but we don't want it to be that kind of churn. We don't want like a standard environment, like Magic or something, right? Because that's just actually not what we came here for. Like, balance in AOS, even as a concept, for the vast majority of players, I submit, this is my theory, I'll openly admit, is that we all want it, and it's great when it's there, but there's a line of things we're not willing to sacrifice to get it. And that's things like the individual character, the broader chaos of the armies, the wackiness and the individuality of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Someone out there just like loves squigs, right? You know, the more ideal version of running Gloomspite gets is, you know, you start at 120 grots and then you start building your list. Like, there is someone out there who's like, no, you don't understand squigs, and they just
absolutely.
They love that. That's why they're here, right?
And none of that is an excuse to not pursue internal and external parity.
Right.
None of what I am saying right now is an excuse not to do it, right?
Right, 100%.
I pursue good health. Okay? I work out every morning. All right? And I try to eat.
When we did the push-ups, when you just pumped off 50 like a machine, said my form was off, and then another 50 like a machine, are you actually a human? Or are you a Cylon?
No comment. But at any rate, like, I work out every day. I try to eat right. Like, that is to say, I watch what I do. You know what I mean? Like, with my health. Okay, I would like to stay alive and not die. Yeah, I can't think of anything more high stakes than that. Right? That is the highest of stakes. Right? Your life, your good health.
Yep.
I think we all probably have someone in our life who's up in years. A family member or somebody we know who's, more along and advanced in years, who did not take good care of their health. And we see the challenges they have, like, in very real time, right? We see how much it can be negative to experience that. And yet, there are things I'm not willing to sacrifice, right? Like, at the same time, I love some fries. They're real good. And if you put cheese on those fries or something, I love me some fried cheese curds from like Culver's. Those are delicious. Am I going to eat them all the time or every day? No,
Mm.
obviously not, right? But
you
like,
want
I'm
to
not gonna,
indulge.
but I'm not gonna not eat them.
Yeah.
You know, like there are lines that we have, and overall, life is better to introduce that small amount of risk. And again, this is the highest stakes thing we can think of, right?
Yeah.
So when that's AOS in a nutshell, right? We care about this stuff, and it's good to care about this stuff, and it's good to focus on balance, just like it's good to focus on that kind of health. But once you do it in the extreme, in the absence of all other things, in the absence of the flavor of life, as it were, or the flavor of the game in this case, that's when you lose too much, right? So that would be my argument.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, there's things that make AOS, right? There's a reason this is different, that we've cultivated these personality types, and this is actually a conversation I don't know how to have, but it's something I often think about, and we've even talked about it. Is what makes Age of Sigmar the makeup Age of Sigmar, like what makes an Age of Sigmar player an Age of Sigmar player. We people like buying their Indominus boxes, painting right now, listening. Power to you, like rock it, like go over to 40K. I know
Amazing.
Travis was talking about just on before you was like, oh, a lot of the people coming and buying Indominus are Age of Sigmar players. It's like that they're now like kind of cross pollinating. And that's fantastic to see, because fuck nerd tribalism. First of all, I know I make jokes at Magic the Gathering's expense and 40K's expense a lot, but if you know me well enough, it's just like the roast humor coming from a place of endearment. Like I own 4,000 points of Blood Angels. I've still played 40K longer than I've played Age of Sigmar. I probably longer than I played Fantasy Battle. Like, that's part of the zeitgeist of who I am. Like, but it's cool seeing that cross pollination occur. And I don't often lose my own tangent. Sorry, guys. This is going to happen worse and worse the longer the stream
Yeah,
goes.
it's fine.
But seeing the cross pollination and stuff like that, the 40K, I'm for it, and I lost my lead. So continue with what you were saying.
That's all right. It's okay. Ultimately, what I think is the great part about AOS is that we do have armies that are very different. That we do have armies that have a lot of individual character that play very differently. And what that's going to naturally lead to is some weird challenges that pop up every so often. I don't think that's bad. I think ultimately that's good. It doesn't mean, and I can't hit this nail hard enough, so please don't actually me on this, all right? But like, it doesn't excuse their bad process at things like Croak and the Sallies. That should have never happened.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lack of formal development. I've said it many times. I'll say it again. They need to hire and or deem someone to be a formal developer.
Yeah,
and I could write up the hiring doc for that role and what the skill sets they would have to have and that kind of thing. Because most game companies use them. They do not. And it's a challenge. And you can get really good books, but you'll get one or two bad things. And that's because you don't have a formal developer. Okay? And that role alone would solve probably 60-70% of the problems we see in books.
I mean,
like that. It'd be like magic.
You said early on, when we were talking about just balance in general. This is going deep in our history here. But you said something along the lines of, and I'm trying to remember the phrasing, and you're silent, so you'll remember. It was something along the lines of, it's not a playtesting process, it's not a QA process. This is like the problems we see is a development process.
Correct. Yeah. We're trying to use playtesters in the wrong way if we're using them to get this stuff right. Playtesters are the equivalent of UAT, right? When you take a small group of users and you have them run through your software, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to find those bedrock issues. It'll find some, of course. But like ultimately you need somebody who is there. Your designer should be free and unfettered. They should write madness, right? Just like designers should never worry about constraint or anything like that. They should just write and just be like, this is the most creative thing I can make. Okay? Because that's how you get the best stuff. And then the developer comes in behind and says, okay, now I'm going to hammer this thing into place. This is out of bounds. This is wrong. Mathematically, this doesn't work out. It's a very analysis focused, almost like a CPA is the type of personality you need to be a good developer, right? And that's why Tom was always my developer whenever I wrote games, because he's really good at that sort of stuff. He has a really great mind for that kind of like mathematical implications, design implications of things. You know, it took Tom 7 minutes into reading the LRL book to figure out that Teclis's spell shield and the way it was worded could mean that if cogs went off, like one reading of it is if cogs goes off, you can just do like tons of D3 mortal wounds to the enemy army because you cast cogs. Right? And like, that was his first read.
Yeah.
Many people would read that 100 times and not ever think about that implication.
They catch it on like a later pass.
In fact, I would argue all of the people who wrote that book read it 100 times and never thought of that implication. Okay.
Oh. Keep talking.
Okay, you're fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I don't need you shouldn't check your own work. You don't edit your own. You're a writer.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had to edit your own stuff out of necessity, but you know that like
you always pass it on to somebody else.
You have somebody else edit your work. Like, sure, you do the initial edit. Like, you read your own stuff once or twice, you cut, you get the story somewhere where you want it to be, right?
You're too close to it, and once you get into the end process, I read my own sentences the way I intended to write them. I won't see. I will not
what's actually on the page.
Yep. Yeah. My brain already. I remember what I was doing when I wrote the thing, and I know, of course, I wrote is instead of iz.
Right.
You know, I know what I wrote, and then you need somebody else. You need that outside voice.
Yeah. And so, like, you know, you just have to have somebody who's completely delineated in that separate role. So there you go. Yeah. So there you go. It's standard process, and it would solve a lot. Now, as far as like the things that when you talk about external parity, that's a lot harder to nail down because ultimately that's going to shift a lot. That's a moving target. That's another reason I think that the 40 to 60%, because how, you know, to just bring this over to like Magic, right? Okay, how good is a control deck is partially a function of that deck and the cards you've used.
Trying to silver bullet the meta. Like, I mean, control decks are oftentimes, days, right? Days is spell costs one more mana. The whole tempo concept in Magic the Gathering, a tempo deck. Wild Nicattles, and people may not know what this is, so I'm just trying to define it a little bit. The whole reason that deck existed was because it looked at the legacy meta and went, I'm going to beat other legacy cards. Wasteland your duel, like it just is such a targeted exercise, and that happens a little bit in Age of Sigmar. The lag time is a lot longer. Is the difference with.
And I'll disagree here partially. There's something so Feluxy said in the comment to respond to my question when I said how good is a control deck in the current meta or in the game. He said as he or she said as good as the pilot is, and that's partially true, but not the whole story. That's just not correct.
Can Thresh autopilots. Can Thresh, as a control deck, one of the monsters of the deck, I think this is for your point, it says, can you cast this daze? Can you daze their spell right now? Then daze it. Like, it literally, it plays itself. Can you brainstorm right now? Brainstorm. Like, sure. If you know the fundamentals. All right, continue.
How good a control deck is a function of, like, many different things. But, yes, of course, the pilot matters. Always matters, especially in a game like Magic. It matters a super lot. But at the same time, the best pilot in a hostile environment, in an environment hostile to control decks, is not going to pilot that deck to great victory at a big tournament. And what I mean by a hostile environment is if strong sly and speed burn is on the ascendancy, right, to where they're out curving you and they have better options in the cards, right, and everything like that in the current meta, right, if that's what's out there right now, if because of the set rotations, like, they can just jump off the block and hit you faster than you can set up control and stop them, right? Then it doesn't matter. Like, that environment is hostile to the meta, and you're hostile to that type of deck, right? And we see this happen throughout the history of Magic. So in the beginning, it was like these huge shifts where, like, control was the only deck, and then creatures were the only deck, as they would just move mana costs, like, all over the board, right? Like, counterspell is 2 mana, no, it's 5. Like, whoa, just like, that is a massive change, right? And they would just be like, and so you would see these giant leaps. And what we've seen is the waves come down. And now it's not like 100 or 99 to 1. Now it's like 70 or whatever. It sometimes is what will happen with control decks, or what control even means can change, right? You don't get hard control, you might get soft control mixed and stuff like that.
Right, or once you have Galaxy, you're at Galaxy Brain levels and you realize that tapping your creature is a control play. Like, once you start, like, if I tap, look at it as inflict 3 damage to turn this thing sideways, and then you start thinking about, like, if I turn this thing sideways, what's their line of play? And tapping now, or not tapping to control their play. Like, once you start going Galaxy Brain on Magic the Gathering, something you were kind of touching on there, those big waves. Do you see that as an inevitability of Age of Sigmar as it gets more robust, right, where the waves get smaller? Those wavelengths?
Maybe if we decide to really focus in on it, it could happen naturally, yeah. I mean, like, as it is right now, we've just been riding, like, Surf's Up, okay?
Surf's Up, bro! Go catch some big swells.
Wave here,
yeah.
Right? Because for the last year and a half before 2020, so all of 2019 and the back half of 2018, there was a very particular wave that was winning, and that was called, like,
combat armies,
melee power punch combat armies. Yeah, like, that was the wave. And if you did, because there just wasn't anything in the meta that was hostile to them, right? And in 2020, we've seen that change as, like, a lot more shooting has come in the meta to snipe off 5-wound synergy heroes and stuff like that, right? And the problem is twofold. One, the combat let's all punch each other in the face and have a scrum in the middle is the least offensive way to play Magic. It probably play AOS.
Happened
it
to me.
Probably actually makes the most number of people happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you start introducing the other forms, and this is the same, like, Magic's had a lot of the same challenge. They have to watch control, because if control becomes overwhelming, it's just kind of a negative
miracles
thing.
Yay! Death and Taxes. Whee!
Hey, I played Death and Taxes in Legacy for a while.
Oh, of course you did. Monsters play Death and Taxes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I loved my Death and Taxes deck. Anyways, so
in case you don't know, Death and Taxes is a hard lock control deck.
Yes,
not a soft lock. So this is a very
like stop you from playing the game. Yes. Yeah.
All right.
It's the worst. The worst. At any rate.
Speaking of spell doms, Death and Taxes.
You bet my sideboard had all them Tivadars Crusades in there for, like, the Goblin Legacy deck at the time as well. Like, that was just an easy win.
Yeah.
Because they were so speedy, they could outlaw. They could get out before you could lock, but then you just blow their whole force up. So anyway, that's not what we're talking about. My point is that, like, that's probably the least offensive way to play AOS. People probably like that. We all like kind of having a punch up in the middle. As they add more heavily defensive armies, as they add more shooting armies, as they add more magic dominant armies, it chips away from that. It all of those erode what the melee punch you in the middle army is capable of.
I'm gonna use a. Oh no, you're pausing for a
second. And I think that the danger there is those types of armies people just kind of naturally don't like as much, like in the broadest sense, right? Like certain. Again, this is always speaking in the aggregate. People as individuals are individuals and are contain multitudes, right? And so what that one person happens to like is going to be very different. They might love having all shooting forces, and like KO might speak to them at a deep spiritual level, and that's fine. I don't think it's a negative thing. I'm just saying, like, in general, if you want to talk about what's going to get people riled up, make a meta that's dominantly shooting or dominantly magic damage at range or something like that. And people will kind of, like, by the way, it's just as valid on its face. There's nothing eminently wrong about those armies being, the ones that are up at the moment or more prevalent or something. But you will get people feel negative about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not punch hammer, which is what they want,
Right.
If I may, I think there's a nice best case scenario for something like that where you have Magic and shooting are probably in the same. Call them reach armies, maybe. Like,
yeah, sure.
Like ranged armies, reach armies.
Extreme power projection.
Yeah,
yes.
Extreme power projection armies is like a thing. And then you have, like, essentially your tanky, more of like a tank style army. You're not like, what Petrifex Elite was, what old Staunchcast was. Like, you have that sort of tank style army, and then like Alpha Strike armies. If you have these as three sort of archetypal armies of the game, and you say, shooting beats tank, tank beats alpha beats shooting, and like it's a nice little soft RPS. Obviously you have some like tools within your tomes to delineate and make changes. If you take that archetypal external parity of it and you look at, like, not so much LRL beats Ossiarch Bone Reapers, but ranged beats this, and so I compensate for that. I think there's some balance to be eked out from taking a design philosophy that looks something like that.
Sure.
Magic's
and
way more granular. Like this control deck folds to that like deck. Like control doesn't just beat like aggro decks, right? Like depending on what that aggro deck. If you're running Cloud Post, if you're running Emrakul and Cloud Post like aggressively tuned decks, you just laughed at miracles. Just like
well, I was just looking at a deck the other day that I really loved. It's like my speed, and that it was like this. It's a mono red. The like little burn dogs out of the new set. Which, by the way, I love that we're dead with hounds, and now we're calling them dogs. Should have always been dogs. Mark Rosewater was correct. All the rest of you designers who said they should have stayed hounds, you were wrong. You were wrong for 15, 20 years. So I'm glad that they all became dogs. Dogs are super better. Anyways. The deck revolves around like fast, cheap, sly type of play with red stuff and hasty things, and like that like I read that deck and I was like, I love everything about this. Like just fast, hit hard, glass cannon, kill them, turn them, burn them. Let's do this. Like that's a game to me, and that's very much reflected in like a lot of how I play AOS. Like the armies I have the most fun with tend to be much more focused on O. Tend to be I am a mostly Timmy player at heart. And I like things that get in there and punch face and do fun stuff and move across the board and things like that.
See, we're on different axioms when it comes to like what we like in the game. I actually like my controls perspective in AOS. Like I actually like the gentlemanly like micro moves and like grinding out and like shifting on the board and stuff. Like that's when I like when the table looks like a blender in motion where you've like shifted around and traded objectives going in a like sort of a circular motion. I know I had a great game.
Play. I do that all the time.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
I frequently didn't fight with my Iron Jaws until the bottom of 2 or 3.
Fear a cautious Iron Jaws player is a
okay.
Erda Wanderer
like that's
says.
Yeah, sure, because like that's often how I would play my Iron Jaws. Nothing about playing an offensive army means you've got to be like alpha striking.
Oh, don't tell that to the orc players. What? I don't have to alpha strike turn 1 and play for the double? What? Like it's
I'll do it if the option's there. Like if I can get my entire army into them at the top of 1, right, and play for the double and risk nothing because I've bunkered them behind and they're not going to be able to get out of the wall of pig meat that I just threw at them. Okay, then why would I not? Like, why would you not play for that? Like, of course, you've got that option.
I love Chaos. We're just on Rantcast with me, along with Vanilla Sauce. Betrayed. # triggered in Iron Suns. we kind of like skirted around this topic last night.
No, I used Iron Suns all the time, going back to when you used to have 300 points of battalions to sort of get into this whole thing. And my play would often be to play extremely cagey. Like I'd send 3 pigs off, maybe charge a sweet target on the side in turn 1, move around, position. One of my favorite scenarios to play with those old Iron Jaws was Knife to the Heart, because I would just dance around everybody until it was finally ready to go. Right?
Yeah.
And then when you go all in, and you bring your whole army.
You hit the turbo button, like you just like. Yeah,
once you've lured them into the trap, right? But the first step of any honey pot is you got to set up the honey.
Right. Dan Caravan with a donation says, thanks for doing this. I need something to watch while I build Indominus. I think I already got that one. Craig Lewis says, praise Slanesh. $5. Thank you so much for that donation. Beamer and Drew Peterson, both with $5 donations. Thank you so much. Now, I'm seeing in my live donors tracker, some of you guys aren't choosing your reward. That makes the giveaway a lot easier for me. If you click on the reward when you're going through your donation, because then it flags it and it makes it easy for me to do the raffle.
Nice. So yeah, keep that donating. Let's do this. Donate if you love Slanesh, or donate if you hate Slanesh. I'll keep it either way. There you go. That should get some. that should motivate people. Okay.
And for what it's worth, I think they did Slanesh dirty. I know you're fine. You're like, I'm fine. I'll be 40% on bottom tables with my army. I'm not fine with it. I don't like when they do this. I don't like when they nuke the army to the bottom of the table. I don't.
They just didn't realize they were doing it. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. Part of it was conscious, part of it was unconscious.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the FAQ had to be the reactionary one, right?
which was necessary. I had no problem with the FAQ. I loved
And
the FAQ.
the points were we knew we were going to do this back when you were saying this is a problem, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's how
But I
that.
shelved the army for a couple months and didn't take it anywhere because it just wasn't fun for anybody. Like it sat on the army for months until that fix came out.
Yeah, yeah. The fix was really good, really measured. I hope they roll back their points because their points were the only thing in there is like that's super purely aggressively costed is the epitome. Like okay, that one. Good.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
The epitome going up a little is the one thing I think nobody had a problem with. You know, again, it was already a very unidimensional army, but again, it was in a meta that was primed for it to succeed.
Who's the best combat army wins? It really was just a
yes,
like
it was like a glass cannon army that could just cannon harder than most anybody else out there. It had the right tools to shut you down and then beat you into a pulp before you could do anything, right? But the meta is much more hostile to it now. By the way, that's not always an argument for balance or whatever. I don't care. Then that's part of my point. Like things will come and go. Like the pendulum will swing. That's why I ultimately don't care, because look, I've had Slanesh since 2006 when they released the new plastics. Is when I got my Slanesh army originally. Okay, and guess what? Those weren't all good years. You know, like. The nature of the game is sometimes you're riding high on Monday and then you're washed out by the end of the week.
Yeah. Sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you, right? Like
yeah, exactly.
Classic colloquialism. Switch to plane. Where is it? We're reading chat here.
The Mortals and Slanesh. Yeah, I think what I've been running recently with Slanesh is like a lot of Lurid Haze invaders. I think that's what I would just like to say I was on that before everybody else. I know this has become the hottest new thing. I ran Lurid Haze at a tournament about 2 weeks after that book came out. So, not trying to say anything. I'm just saying yes, that was it's a great way to run it. Archeon is amazing in that build. You can keep keepers safe from shooting in that build because you can take them off board. It's a interesting way to play the army.
Still works at the points.
No, the army I had doesn't work anymore. No, it's completely broken. It's like 100 points over now. I mean, it's completely broken. You have to lose a whole something. Everything got busted sideways by what they did with the points.
That's what happened to LON when that's where I was like having flashbacks to you, which is what ultimately allowed me to have levity with my belief in Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Is like this wasn't LON bad 1 year prior when like I was looking at my army and I'm like, this doesn't work, and I wasn't even playing the bad one, right? I wasn't running 60 Grimghast Reapers or 30 and 40, I wasn't doing that, and you still managed to break my army as collateral damage. I'm just like, okay, cool. They did that happened kind of to Slanesh, and I'm just like, this is when the nerfs are so aggressive, they target the thing, and then they also just hit everything else too for good measure. That shouldn't happen to an army. I don't think anyway. That's the wrong way of doing it. I believe as a rule, I believe army should be brought up, not pushed down. I understand power creep.
Sometimes you got to push things down. And
sometimes you got to push. Tzeentch needs to be pushed down. Petrifex Elite I'm getting there. $1,100. Petrifex Elite needed to be pushed down. I did it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Petrifex Elite needed to be pushed down. Seraphon needed to be pushed down. So some of those armies were like getting out of our Goldilocks zone, out of our 40-60, out of the fat middle. So yeah, push them down. But like for the most part, like I want to look to why other people suck and bring them up as like kind of my first reaction, and then is this Fire Slayers was the one that still blows my mind. Like they were already like enjoying a wealth of riches, and they're like, let's make it better.
Yeah, happily, not many people like to play the army, so
yeah, and I think that's where we're at. Is like you had maybe they think that they had redundant mortal wound saves, so maybe they think that'll balance out in the end, getting rid of some of those.
No, but that's okay. I mean, in the end, what saves us from the Fire Slayer's menace is they're aesthetically pretty boring. Like they got one of the lowest scores on the aesthetic survey that I did, right? Where how people liked them, the look of them.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely were very much at the bottom. They were either the lowest or second lowest.
Chaos Spawn Wargaming. Obviously, the problem were the dire wolves / sarcasm. Yeah, and the necromancer, the auto intakes of an army.
Hey, look, my
Because
caster went up 10 points too for reasons unbeknownst to me for the single caster piece of garbage who
No.
doesn't even have the decency to pass off his wounds to nearby undead.
doesn't like Van Hell's great spell. Like while in a world where other things were just getting double activations and always strikes first, and like you have this like 100-point idiot who can pass wounds off, but can't cast his own spell because he doesn't have a +1 to cast or anything, isn't a double caster. In fact, you're taking him so that Nagash or Archon casts his spells, and then they don't get to do that anymore either. I'm just like, why? Why?
JPEG, if you're asking about the original survey of where you can find it, we did a show reviewing it, and there should be links in that show. So if you go back in the Warhammer Weekly archives, you'll see that. If you're talking about the new survey that I'm running right now around balance, you can find that link in either my Q&A from earlier today or in Warhammer Weekly from this week. So
yeah, your stuff tends to get buried real fast on. Hey, I found it. Look at that. I'm awesome.
Good job.
Look at me. Boom, right there. Should be the new survey. What was the highest rated aesthetically, by the way?
Highest rated aesthetically was, I don't remember the exact ones, but I can tell you like what was up at the top. Nighthaunt were way up there. Gits were way up there. Oryx were way up there.
Cool.
So there you go.
Yeah, cool.
Because Ironjaws look sweet and Gits as an army looks sweet, and everybody loved Ghosts. The Ghosts really surprised me.
They look great. They look great. Like I know like there's a realm between playing against them and painting them that kind of suck, but like they are really cool. Like the way they exist in fully 3 dimensions, and they're like what base, what gameplay that's the going too far. That the sculpt team went too far, and I'm like happy they did. But
people love the Ghosts.
Yeah.
Somebody in my Q&A today mentioned that they were using chain rasps as flayed ones for Necrons, like that they were using the bodies and then putting together with some Necron bits. And I was like, that's an amazing idea. I love that because they look like they have little, like you would just paint the little wraps as skin instead of as ghostly cloth and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's super sweet. Like they're a very versatile, cool model. You can paint a lot of different ways and make them look really neat. So there you go. Nighthaunt were obviously clearly a great success, at least aesthetically, right? We can talk about rules-wise what's been good or bad about them, but certainly aesthetically they were a success.
Well, I think Nighthaunt's stuck on that long wait for the train that might never come right now, where they need a new book, which is just unfortunate.
Look, you know what world I don't want to live in? I know we all love this. We all love going, if only there was a new book.
I hate that world too. I hate that.
Good. Can we get a new book for this thing that came out a year and a half ago? We just want our new book. Okay. I don't want to live in that world. I really don't. I don't mind new books every couple of years. It's fine. We can get new books or expansions or whatever. I actually like the sort of Stormcast model the best, right? Where it just kind of rolls it in and it's kind of a thing there. But, if I was like a 40K player and my Space Marine book just came out not too long ago, and then I had like an expansion in Psychic Awakening for my thing, and now they just, now I've got my new 9th edition codex, like, I don't need a new battle tome every year or 2 years even, right? Like they should have a little bit longer shelf life than that. I think in a perfect world, your battle tome itself, your core battle tome, doesn't have to be replaced more than every 3-4 years, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And because otherwise we just get on a hell of a cycle. And the right answer is they should be fixing War Scrolls. Like there should just be interim War Scroll fixes. I would honestly, like if they didn't need to do it, I'd stop printing War Scrolls in the battle tome period. I understand that would be stupid, but that shouldn't be it shouldn't be the item of record for War Scrolls. Unless they're going to digitally update them. But most of the way I don't look in a battle tome for my War Scrolls. That's not ever where I read my War Scrolls. Okay? Mm-hmm. I read my War Scrolls in the app.
On the phone.
Yeah, on the phone. Like, of course that's where you look at your War Scrolls. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the important resource. So when that gets updated, that's what I pay attention to. Right? Like, what I'm reading the book for is Allegiance stuff and magic items and sub-factions and
I do it to immerse myself in the army, really, with all the things that make the army, as opposed to the thing I play, if that makes sense. Like there's a...
Yeah, like, I don't know the last time I went and grabbed a book and said, "Let me look up this war scroll." One, they're always
To
in terrible order.
see where Nagash got his spells from, and it is from Grand Host of Nagash, and it was Thursday night.
That's what I'm saying. To look at a war scroll, a specific war scroll. I look at my books all the time, and it's always to do like my army building for the other stuff, right? Like I need to look up my battalion for my Thunder Lizards, and which is it, the Thunderquake Star Host or the Thunderquake this thing? Like which Thunderquake thing is it that I need to be taking, and which magic items and what are my spells? Like battle tomes are an infinitely valuable resource. I'm not slapping on battle tomes, right? Like battle tomes are fantastic. I'm saying war scrolls, specifically the scrolls, right, as a concept in battle tomes are outmoded, just as points are in the GHB. These things should be existing in the digital space.
Yeah.
Right? Or at the very least, when you flip to the war scroll section, there should be a first page that says, these war scrolls are current as of the printing of this date. As always, download our app, QR code you can scan here to find the newest versions of these war scrolls.
Like you just put a QR code and then it gets you the app. Integrating the advantages of digital media with the advantages of printed media.
Yeah.
You should like make games or something, Vince.
Yeah.
Digital update seems like the best route. I think they like the groundwork with that with 40K from what I hear. I haven't really personally looked into 40K, so like someone said it on the internet, I normally believe their opinion, so I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Like if they're laying the groundwork for giving you a digital copy with your book, I mean, it doesn't even need to be a digital copy. Like just a QR code. Just boom, and then you download like the Azir app and your book's preloaded, or even take me to the screen that says I can buy it at a discounted rate if you really do want to keep making money, like double dipping in physical copies and digital copies. Just the convenience is the end goal. I don't begrudge you for making money. Like
exactly.
Like go ahead, make money. Don't exploit your consumer base to do it, please. And some things can, I understand, butt up against that line, like with the LRL box and making the tome available, kind of not, kind of available. Like that one feels awkward. But they made a PDF viewer, so I'm assuming they're going after Adobe next. I want the latest errata on a physical card. LOL. Too demanding? Yeah, probably too demanding. But if Games Workshop starts listening to me personally, I will print a card and send it to you when they errata like your favorite unit.
Sure.
I'll write it on it and I'll send it to you if that's what you need. If that's the validation you require. Got you. Got a few new donations coming in. Beamer91's $5. Drew Peterson $5. Greg D. Thank you so much for those $5 donations. Every little bit helps, and remember as you're donating to be clicking on the rewards as you're going through the donations, unless you truly don't care. And comments are always encouraged.
I'm going to ask, look at this adorable dog. Look at this dog.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not the cutest dog. Donate for this.
Yeah.
Donate because there's a cute dog on screen.
Yeah,
there you go.
Doggo on screen. Press donate. Press donate.
This dog. She's adorable.
So less than half an hour left in the block. That is for the Larissa Shadow Stalker fig provided by Guys from Milwaukee's Dave N. So good dude, good gamer. Loves Brass Stampede, and so do I. That's where, like, I'm still making the Bone Stampede. It's still full bones ahead. No one's stopping me from running 30 Kavalos Death Riders apart from me and my time dedicated to it.
Well, I've told you, I've been on the Death Riders train forever, because the army that really impressed me I'm sorry, I put you back in your chair. There you go. The army that really impressed me at CanCon was when the all Death Rider and Nagash list. I loved that list. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, sorry, it's got to be in the segment. It encourages interaction, and it natively plays with the Twitch format without being like legal gambling. So
there you go.
So
that's all right. If you've already maxed out for this segment, then just remember the cute dog next segment when someone shows up and donate. There you go.
That's right. Rerolling ones is on next, and you also get to see me take a pie to the face, totally live, 100%, recorded in real time. I'll go outside and take a pie to the face.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think you should do it right there in your chair.
Should I? It turns out I'm going to be shaving like in my chair. And no, it took me like 3 years of streaming to get this chair. I explained to people the intricacies of our family finance, and so all the money I make by being a working blue collar slob goes to paying all the bills and paying all the family stuff. The money I make streaming goes to me. That is
Yeah,
my
sure.
money. Look at me. This is my money. That's how I justify owning like thousands of points of plastic to a woman who just doesn't get it. Like buying video games and this chair. I had the chat gang. This is yours. You helped me get this. So thank you so much for that.
A good chair is very important.
When you spend this much time like sitting,
Mm.
painting, talking, you need that. You need
Yeah.
a quality chair. So yeah. I'll be rolling Dawn Rider Battalion for my Lumineth. I like Dawn Riders. I really do. I don't know if I'm like full on Tom's side of it with like they are the most underrated unit in the book or something, but it's hard to say Go ahead.
All of the internal infantry units, whatever you want to call them, non-hero units, I guess, of LRL are incredibly well balanced against each other. I wouldn't see a skew on any of them being the right answer.
There you go. Bone Broth donates 666. Hell yeah. For Vince's cute doggo.
Oh, yay!
That chair
All
should
right.
have the chair should have W. Soren stitched into it. I agree. It should. It really should. So should my Ossiarch Bone Reaper army for that matter. Just Marok, Wolf, and and Soren.
There you go.
Um,
I got something else I want to talk to you about along the lines of balance. This is a tangential topic from this, but I don't know that I've gotten your take on this yet. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's talk about realm artifacts, man.
This. So, is it too soon? No, it's not too soon. I don't like that they're gone. As far as I'm concerned, it's ink already printed. They are known. It's ink already spent. They existed on the app, which is another case for you just have them. I like that they were known commodities. I know early on they weren't because often things start like that. That's my case for AOA sounds awfully similar to my case for Realm Artifacts. AOA will become a known commodity provided the out-of-bounds stuff gets pushed back inbounds, which can happen one of two ways: FAQ, or the community comes together. The TOs who choose to run AOA come up with common patches, and then
Yeah, let me jump on AOA real quick.
Yeah.
I was building a lot of heroes over the past 2 days. Just like I sat down and was like, I really want to see what this is all about. Like I built a few before we talked about it on the show. I was like, I'm gonna really drill this, right? Like try to build every hero I can think of, and I made up like 30 heroes. I went through and just built got a concept in my head and then tried to build it, right, for all the various armies I play. And you get so much less than you think you're getting, is what I'll say. Okay, like I wanted to build an Arch Warlock on Doomwheel, like a hero on Doomwheel. Okay,
down and out. Yeah, hell yeah.
super metal.
Yeah.
Because the hero on a Doomwheel is the hero we need. Like I know in my Iron Jaws armor we've talked about the having the whole hero on Gorgrunta, and sure, okay, that's fine. It's fine, but it's not as exciting as a hero on a Doomwheel. So let's take a look at this guy. I think I can do this.
You can
What's
straight
your
share? Yeah, you should be able to straight. Boom, there we go.
Yeah, I did a thing. I figured this out. So here's the Arch Doomlock. Okay. So I wrote him up.
Picture in picture. Look at this, everybody. Groundbreaking.
Uh-oh. There it is. Okay, so the Arch Doomlock. So he's got his little lightning zaps, which is effectively a renamed bow attack, right? 3 attacks on 3s and 3s, neg 1, 3 damage. All right, fair enough. Then we've got he's got his little warp glaive, which is actually a renamed hammer. 3 attacks on 4s and 3s, neg 1, 1 damage, so pretty nothing. And then the wheels and the warp charge spikes are just the renamed claw and maw. So 6 attacks with the wheels on 3s and 3s, neg 1, 2 damage, and the warp charge spikes are 2 attacks on 3s and 2s, neg 2 rend, 4 damage, right? Assuming all unwounded. And obviously both of those are on the thing. And then I gave him both rolling death and grinding the gears, where he has impact hits and he can grind at the end of the combat, right? Mm-hmm. So he can do D3 on the way in, and D3 as he just spins his wheels on the people he's fighting is what I pictured.
Flavorful.
And Yeah, he's a wizard, and Warp Lightning Spray is renamed Wildfire. Okay? And he's got a 3-up save. 13 wounds. This is a 400-point model. Okay? It's not ethereal. Doesn't fly. Okay? It's none of those things. And to get it to this level of offense, like this right here, assuming it gets everything off, not counting the mortal wounds, so like it shoots at you and then charges you, it does an average of about 12 to 14 wounds against a 4-up save for a 400-point hero. Okay? Yeah, it's like, okay. The mortal wounds push those up by, maybe 2-ish each, 1 point something each, 1.9 each, right? This is not, and it's a 3-up save, no mortal wound protection, no nothing, right? Like, can we, compare this guy to like what a Maw Crush is capable of, or what the Kumquat, the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist is capable of for not many more points, right? And it's like a joke in overall utility. So like your actual capabilities to build heroes in AoA that are real scary is not super high. Like, yes, there are some funny builds you can do when they get real gross with the book. Like, obviously this guy's going to spark off. Like, I paid him, he's Clan Scryer, so he can spark himself. He'll spark himself to make his damage 4 attack, and then spark himself to give him rerolls to hit in melee, right?
Right.
But still, like, and different books have different synergies, super fine. Anyways, okay, so that's the Arch Doomlock. I thought that'd be fun. I made this up so I could share it with everybody here. I thought it'd be real fun, because who doesn't love a hero on a Doom wheel, right? And I'm going to build this guy. But as a 400-point hero, he's not the right choice. And certain armies can like spike off and synergize better than others.
Right.
Some have much more keyword limitation. I'm not saying you can't make gross combos. You can make some gross combos. But there you go. Okay. So now I'll stop that. There we go. Back to just us. And the thing about the realm artifacts, and yes, you can cover some of this with AoA, but it obviously won't be as widely accepted in tournaments. I completely agree with you. The problem is they got replaced with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They got like, I know there are the 7 realm artifacts that exist
Don't
now.
even care.
They're nothing. I wouldn't even bother. I'm not going to write them down. Right? They're just nothing.
Yep.
They fail at the realm in the worst way possible, which is
they're boring numbers. First of all, it's like their greatest defense. Boring numbers.
Yep.
I don't care.
And I listened to the justification for this. Like, I watched the podcast where they talked about this, and they said, "Oh, this covers some of the basics, and people will go re-explore their own books artifacts." What? No, the basics are boring. I don't want to take magic items that do quote unquote the basics. There's a reason that I don't want to be basic. Okay, yeah. I want magic items. I think I get 1 or 2 of.
Yeah, you can sell the basics at the Starbucks with the pumpkin spice latte, the Uggs, and the yoga pants.
I'll put this in D&D terms. Anybody ever been excited about getting a sword +1? Real darn excited about it? I mean, maybe if you're like level 2 or 3 and it's your first magic item, you're excited about the sword +1 because like neat, a magic item when we didn't have any. Now I can kill ghosts. Okay, like sure, but like that's not. Compare getting a sword +1 in D&D to getting a frost brand. Or a 9 life stealer.
Holy Avenger!
Or a luck blade. Yeah. Or a Holy Avenger. Or
Sunblade, which had like a special rule of being like as light as a short sword and it's a hand and a half sword, it's a bastard sword.
Sure. Or you're getting the sword +1 versus getting like a cloak of the manta ray that can let you like glide and swim underwater and turn into a manta ray. Like, whoa, that is super cool.
Cape of the Mountebank, one of my favorite, because it describes like the actual puff of smoke when you teleport.
Yeah.
Like, I just imagine you have to throw the activation is throwing it over your shoulder and saying, "Good day, sir." Like, "Good day, sir," and then poof.
Like a Rod of Security, a Daren's Instant Fortress, a whatever. You can
Qualm's feather tokens are like they're so absurd, and people always find a stupid way.
Figurines of wondrous power, like a little tiny figurine you can turn into a real horse. It just becomes a real horse, but it's so awesome that the rest of the time it's a little minifig. Like that's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's stuff that's exciting. It's exciting because it's not boring, right?
Right.
It's exciting because it's cool and unique and gives you something different that your character couldn't do before that isn't just +1 to hit and damage, right? And the magic items in this game that I want to take on my army allow me to build or do or utilize interesting things that are cool, like that make a steam tank fly. That's amazing, right? Or something like that.
Even Doppelganger's cloak, where like it had the problematic language early, and then they just fixed it, and it's still interesting and cool, right? Like you vanish immune, like in freaking World of Warcraft, you know, like once per game.
Super
It's
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
cool.
And Paul, who said, I think that the Shimon artifact that ignores Rend 1 is actually good, shrug. Yeah, it's the best of the bad. And yes, it's okay. Like, it's something that's maybe worth writing down. And I'll be happy to see that it's the only one anybody ever takes if they have to take a realm artifact, because it's the only thing of value, right? And by value, I mean, like, it actually rounds up to $1. So it's not just like change that I get in my pocket and forget about and then put in the jar at the end of the day.
Throw them away. I'm throwing them straight into the trash.
The rest of them are just pennies. Like, you could round this off and it wouldn't matter, right? Yep. That one at least is $1. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's and it's still boring. Like, and that's the greatest sin to me. And again, the thing that I hate is that what we got was, like, you didn't like the 84 list because they were imbalanced and not
too many of them. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Like, I don't disagree with any of those core points. It doesn't mean that the only right way we had to go was like by making everything else super boring, right? Getting rid of all of those and then making
everything. Yeah. There was the one. The
one right answer. Hold on, let me get into this.
Yeah.
My thought, and then please go into it. The right answer would have been to make 21 artifact, 3 per realm, focused on interesting and distinct utility, none of which are too powerful, but all of which allow for some kind of interesting play or unique play experience, right? I agree with you completely, Mr. Mephisto. Sword of Japan did nothing wrong. Great, one of the greatest weapons in the history of the world. And yet it was ruined. Ruined!
I don't even care about people's cries for verisimilitude. Like, what, there's just that many ethereal amulets or swords of Japan? Yes. There's a vendor out there who's just like found the black market.
Almost every D&D group I've ever played in, somebody got like a Frostbrand or a Flame Tongue, right? Yeah. Like, in the course of 20 levels that happened. These are very rare weapons. I don't care. No part of it broke my verisimilitude because I am the protagonist, okay? That's the rest of these people don't matter. They're imaginary. I'm who matters here. My army is what matters. The other armies aren't real, okay? So, at any rate,
perfect.
The right answer would have been to write 21 interesting artifacts and split them up 3 per realm and make sure that that's like that. So, I've decided to do that. So, Tyler and I, along with Tom, are going to be writing a new generic artifact list that we're going to work very hard to balance and make sure they're interesting. If there are, we've reined in things that are out of balance. We've drew on inspiration, but certainly haven't limited to that. There will be some that are things you've recognized from before, and some that are a completely new, cut from whole cloth inventions. And right now, Tom is doing his dev pass at them. Okay, and because I'm always going to design according to I'm going to do as I say.
Go crazy. You go crazy, and then
dev pass. Yep. And we're going to put them together into a nice PDF and publish them out there. And if people want to use them in their own games or TOs want to adopt them, that's our goal, to make sure that they have the ability to do that.
See, G-Dead, you're not wrong. Ethereal Amulet is given out when you enter Shyish. Yes, but you have to pass a really rigorous background check where there's one question, and it is, hey, baby, would you like to kill all humans? And then if you say yes, they get...
It's a papers, please situation, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm for this. Since you kind of mentioned this, I didn't want to rope people into my insanity, but since that's kind of become a la mode in the fashion, we've got people asking about what are the new incentives since we kind of shattered all my original goals. So we've met. I'm actually getting a tattoo. I'm gonna shave off my goatee. We're gonna do the Miley Cyrus review is next up. At 3K, it's crowdsource an army. This one I'm looking really forward to. If we get 3.5, Vince, Tom, Heywoah, Chuck, and I will all play crowdsourced armies at one particular event. So that's that. So he roped into my insanity. And then the 4,000 and 4.5 is Bryce is going to convert Nagash, which is born from a joke about Nagash is technically mounted. So I don't know if this is Nagash is going to have like a BoJack Horseman head, And
Can I tell you
riding a horse. What's
about
that?
Nagash being mounted? Can I tell you? And I actually have a story
Yes.
about mounted Nagash. Can I
Yes.
interject real quick?
Yeah, 100. Yeah, 100.
Okay.
100%.
Back when we first started Warhammer in the late 90s, none of us really knew what we were doing, and there was no real internet where we were watching or anything like that, right? I had a buddy. You remember Clown Nagash, who was still the current fig at that time, and he was still bigger by far than most normal people. He argued that he could mount Clown Nagash on a horse, okay, and then ride ethereal Clown Nagash into a, because he had turned him ethereal in some way. I don't remember how. It doesn't matter. This is out of the old Undead book when it was just Undead. And he argued that he could ride him into a hill and just have Nagash's head poking out on top of the horse and still casting his spells, but like we couldn't target him because he was ethereal in the hill. Okay. And he tried this in a game. And so he had taken Clown Nagash that just popped up on the screen, and he had put him on a tiny little bone horse from that period. And that was his fig riding around, like just a Clown Nagash stuck on top of one of those little plastic bone horses.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it was, and we were all like, "No, you cannot do this. This is the stupidest thing we've ever heard. Get out of here." So apparently, Nagash does have a long history of being mounted. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. It's historically accurate. Yeah. So then, 4,000 is Bryce will convert the Nagash. I'll paint it, and if you want it to actually look good, donate to 4,500. Bryce will paint it instead of me. I vetoed the AOS puppet show, which was supposed to be in between some of those, and then I had an idea for what that would be, so I might put that back on the list. But it will actually be me sitting underneath the camera with some of my models, like giving them silly voices.
I love the idea.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing, though, you're talking about designing. I said the Talking Heads design asymmetric battle plan at 900. Can I rope you into helping me design when you're through with realm artifacts, tooling up schemes, doing an asymmetric battle plan that might actually be valid in tournament play?
Well, that's one of the things. Yes, 100%. Tyler and I have talked about this a lot, of the idea of recreating the battle plans with asymmetric secondaries. Okay, and publishing a new list of that as part of a TOS pack where they could use that. So Tyler and I have absolutely been on this. If you have the same interest, then I think we'll get together with you, and 100% I want to do it. That's what we're ultimately trying to drive to, is something that acts as a tournament pack, right? Because in the end, TOs are kings. They can use whatever they want, and it's
Change
legal.
it if you want to.
Yeah, and so like the goal is, can we make something that's viable, that's usable, that's interesting? And we've already done that with schemes, right? I think schemes were wildly successful. Excuse me. And I want to continue to expand on that.
Yeah, I love schemes. I got part of what makes NashCon.
Hold on. Whoa.
Whoa.
To answer something Soren said. So right now the Nova Open Charitable Foundation raffle is going on. I absolutely donated a fig. Soren had said I didn't donate one to the Nova charity raffle. Soren, I most certainly did. Not an AOS model, but I did do a 40K model. If you go and look at the single models, you will find a Imperial Fists Primaris Captain, the one that Darren Latham designed. The guy who's like this with the fist and the plasma pistol out. And I painted that, as well as I did the art piece. So at any rate, yes, if you want a chance to win a painted model, you can go do that. But donate to Meth first.
Right. And you've got the cool art piece, the Year of Wasted Paint or whatever, Year of Lost Paint.
Yes.
So we did get a few more donations coming in. Bone Broth, we already got for Vince's cute doggo. Ben Weiss, $5. Eels Are Balanced donates $50. Even the Idoneth understand the importance of mental health. That's right.
It's a big focus of their entire culture.
Yeah, their whole culture. Yeah, they are a traumatized people, right? Super important. Continuous donates 25. Bone Tithes for mental health. That's right. Pay the tithe. Join for the Doggo donates $10. Loves the cause. Love the dogs as much. Kyle, so there's minimum pants from the Pants Mafia, donates $5. Imitation cheese in with $5. So these are all counting towards your reward for this block is the Larissa. At 2 p.m. it'll switch over to KO. With 3 rolling ones, and I'm gonna go get a pie to the face, totally live, not pre-recorded.
I'm excited.
100% live. Yeah, man, robust discussion condensed to 2 hours, which is a little bit more in your show's vein than mine. But it's a prolific rant. Do I get some sort of record at the end of this for like having ranted for 27 hours?
I mean, it's a heck of a stream, that's for sure. If you manage to pull this off, I'll be impressed. Like this is an endurance test of endurance tests. So yes, I am very impressed by what you're doing here, Meph. I just want to say, as sort of closing out my time, I will say I think this is a great thing you're doing. I think this is totally awesome. I want to thank everybody who donated, not just now during this block, but period. This is a really important subject that needs to be demystified, that needs to be talked about more openly. All of us in our life are at some point in time going to have struggles with this because that's the nature of the world. Trauma happens. And the best thing you can do is be comfortable discussing it, is for us to have an open culture where we know that we're not alone, where we know that there are others out there who either have experienced similar things or are ready to just listen and understand. And anything that we can all do, especially right now when, let's face it, a lot of our mental health is getting tested in the extreme in this year, as many of us are under stress for lots of different reasons, whether it be financial or just, the actual disease itself or anything else that's going around. This is an important time to talk about this subject. So I think this is a really great thing you're doing. I was honored and more than happy to be involved. So thank you, Meph, and thank you everybody else who's donating, who's watching, who's spreading the word. I've got to give a shout out to Brendan for doing so much great work at just being there and being like the rock star that he always is. He's one of the absolute pillars of this community, and I know he's done a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes, as have others. So I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Yeah. Brendan, obviously him and Dan Bears donated the OBR lot, which this was going to be a start collecting box and just me talking for 27 hours. That was the original inception of this, but the community stepped up, donated gifts and prizes to give away, and the minute that started to happen, I'm like, this has to be good now. and I can't do it by myself, so having you come on to fill it with content worthy of watching and donating for, and then to have all the people kind of like, I wouldn't call them behind the scenes, but propping me up, pushing me up, like Brendan and Frank and their so-called council coming up with these new incentives when I was ill prepared for as many donations as we received to be doing that. Like that means a bunch to me too. So seconded what Vince said, and thank you so much everyone who's donated your time, donated to this, and even just hanging out, being part of the almighty metrics, being all part of the almighty algorithm, so that we're visible ourselves in doing this. So yeah. 58. So real quick, this is kind of last call for donations for the Larissa block. Remember, if you donate minimum 25 throughout the whole stream, you are entered into the OBR. I'm tracking that actively with this lovely little automated thing that Tiltify does for me. Remember to be selecting your gift during the donation block you're trying to get. That $5 minimum donation. When you're going through that process, you'll see something that says rewards. Go through the rewards thing. A bunch of them will be locked. There will be one that is unlocked for the time slot. Right now it is the Larissa 158. Oh boy. And
it's amazing. We are so close to doubling your original goal. Okay, we're $15.34 away here. Look, I got 2 minutes left, folks. I want to see us hit double the original goal during my time. Somebody between the chat gang, $15.34 to hit double the initial $1,100 goal. Someone out there who's watching has not yet hit their cap for this 2-hour block or has not hit $25 left. We can do this.
Do not disappoint, right. Dad. Do not. Everyone's
$15. Okay, this is like a movie ticket cost, right? I mean, you remember those things you can't do that we don't do anymore? That's dead now. You're not going to go to a movie anytime soon. So it's not happening. Take that cost. Boom. Donate it in. Let's get to that $2,200. We're so very close. Like a minute left. Like 1 minute.
I'm smashing refresh. This is nail biting.
I want to see it happen before I leave, before it goes to re-rolling ones. Okay? Get to 2,200 right now while I'm here, and my offer is I'll work with Meph on a high-end stretch goal for me to do something like to paint something for a high-end stretch goal.
Heavy D6 done, he says. 1534, right under the wire. Good job, everybody. Right on the buzzer beater. MJ keying up behind the key. Swish, nothing but net.
Very nice. All right, I feel as though my time here has been successful, and just to back that up, Meph, if you need something for a high stretch goal, I'll paint something for someone.
Does 5K sound high?
Sure, that's
Okay.
reasonable.
All right,
It's
so
swap any your 5K point. I'll paint. You reach 5K, you pick somebody, and I'll paint something for them.
all right, sounds good, man. Sounds good. So we got a second sort of like grand prize. We'll do tomorrow. We'll do the Vince. If we hit the stretch goal of 5K, Vince will paint you something.
There we go.
Pretty good.
Not an army like a fig is what I'm talking about. Let's be super clear.
To be clear, a model. All right, Saint Vince. Thanks for stopping, man.
Absolute pleasure, brother. I will give it over to the rerolling ones guys and say best of luck, Meph, with the rest of this. I'll be watching.
Right on, dude. Right on.
Later on, guys.